Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest video. In this video I'm going to be using a plain standard size traveller's notebook insert which I keep inside a vintage-like cover from Start Bay Notebooks. I'm going to be creating some really quick and simple pages and I really hope that you enjoy them. For my main image, I'm going to be sketching out a rose, which you can find inside my book on page 34. I'm starting off by really lightly sketching it in pencil, and for this I'm using a Derwent precision pencil. And I want to make the main image quite large, and so that it goes across the centre of the two pages. I'm now adding the ink using a black Staedtler pigment liner, and I'll be adding some watercolour paint over the top, so it's a really good idea to try and find a waterproof pigment liner if you can. Work has been exceptionally busy for me over the last couple of weeks as I work in HR consultancy, and there's lots of worried businesses out there. So I've been doing my best to help them, but I also really needed to take just a little bit of time for myself and play and get creative in my journal. The watercolour paint I'm using is from London Gifties, and I'm mixing up a deep pink and a red. And I'm adding lots of water to those so that I get a nice wash. I'm starting off with the pink colour so that forms my base, and I'll then be dropping some of the red paint on top whilst it's still wet. And I really like how it looks as it starts to bloom out into the paint that's already on the page. This journal has Tomo river paper in it, and I can't create the same effect that I can if I'm using proper watercolour paper, but I still find that it works really well, and I'm never worried about anything close to perfection in my journals. It really is somewhere just for me to be able to get creative and express myself, and for me that's always the most important thing. If I have paint start to disappear along the inside of the two journal pages, I just dry off my brush and run it along the centre, and that really helps to pick up some of the paint that's trying to escape. Once the flower had dried, I then started adding a mixture of two different green paints to my leaf. I then added it to the stem and the two leaves along the bottom. And I felt that I'd added a bit too much of the dark green paint, so again I dried off my brush and just lifted a little of it off. That's one of the things I love about watercolour paint, is that as long as you work with it when it's still wet, you can really start to lift off paint if you're not happy with it. I then finished off with a few different paint splotches. Next I'm using some brown classic-y tape from London Gifties, and I'm tearing it along the centre. And to me this tape looked a bit like a brick wall, and I thought that would look really nice either side of the rose, as if it was in a walled garden. I found some old alphabet stickers in my stash, and if I can find where I got them from I'll leave it linked down below. And I'm going to use these to create the words "Be gentle with yourself." And that's really what these journal pages are all about. Kind of a note to myself to remind me that it's okay to take a bit of time out and just take each day or even hour as it comes. The next thing I'm doing is using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib. I'm going to letter out the date and also use it to create a dashed border around my page. Sometimes I'm in the mood for creating really elaborate spreads using all of my supplies, but on this day I just wanted to create something simple and that I knew I'd have fun with and that would relax me. And I think that's one of the great things about journals, is that they can be really whatever you want them to be at any time. Finally, I'm adding my journal writing, and for this I'm using a TWSBI fountain pen with black ink. And I'm jotting down a few notes about how I'm feeling at the moment and kind of my intentions for the next few days in terms of looking after myself. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you're taking some time for yourself too and staying safe and well. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you really soon in the next one.